Hey everybody, welcome back to Jay's Fit Down the Football Podcast. I'm your host, Jane Gay, here today on a special Labor Day edition. Just wanted to say happy Labor Day to everybody out there. And we're here finally, week one. The NFL season is officially starting this week. Bills Rams kicking off on Thursday Night Football on NBC Thursday night. We are excited here just to have football back officially, and we're going to be here with you every step of the way here at Jay's Fit Down. We're going to have you all your coverage that you need of the NFL, college football, everything, but specifically the NFL because that's what we're covering here today and all throughout the season. We'll be here with all the latest news, updates, everything you need to know, all NFL. And to find those things, you can catch us here on YouTube. Subscribe, comment, share. We're also on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your favorite podcasts. We are there providing you the latest coverage of the NFL. So a lot to get to here today, but first off, we want to start some predictions this season. We are finally here in this for NFL 2022 kickoff this week with the Bills and the Rams. One the Super Bowl champion from last year, and then the other one who was almost at the Super Bowl, the divisional round with the Buffalo Bills, and that shootout with the Chiefs that could have went either way. It ended up going towards the Chiefs' way, but the Bills, are looking to rebound from that and come back stronger in 2022. And so I'm interested to see how this will be a good test for both clubs. You look at the Bills trying to again establish that offensive identity without Brian Daboll there calling the plays because he's now in New York. He's now the head coach for the New York Giants. So now you're gonna have Ken Dorsey, the quarterbacks coach, being promoted to offensive coordinator, filling that role that Daboll left. He's going to be now calling the plays into Josh Allen's helmet. And so interested to see how that offense is going to be replicated this year. Can they sustain that success with Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen and Gabe Davis, who is one of my players that I'm really excited to see break out this year. And we'll get to that in a second. But, just those offensive playmakers and, of course, drafting, really well on the defensive side as well. Kyer Elam, young cornerback. I'm interested to see how he does this year. So it's a lot of parts with Buffalo that I'm really intrigued to see how they incorporate into this season, along with the Los Angeles Rams on the other side. Matthew Stafford is still back there at quarterback. Traded for him before the 2021 season started. They went and won a Super Bowl, even if it was by a hair. They won the Super Bowl. They went there, had a great season offensively. Sean McVay, just loved absolutely to death, and they had a good rapport going there offensively. Now they lose Odell Beckham Jr. He's not there currently as of right now, but he's a free agent, so there's no telling what could happen between now and Thursday. He could sign, or we don't know. He's still recovering from injury, so he wouldn't be available until November at the earliest. So then that's pushing it, but they come in and they get Allen Robinson, from the Chicago Bears. So another good receiver, a veteran guy. He's been around the league a bit with Jacksonville and Chicago. He's got great route running skills, great hands. Allen Robinson is a guy that a lot of quarterbacks love to play with because of his hands, his ability to go up and get the football. He's got he can run routes really good. Can create separation. He's just that smart, savvy veteran guy that you want in your receiving core that already had Cooper Kupp, who was the NFL Offensive Player of the Year last year and possibly an MVP candidate, as well. So I'm interested. The things that I'm really looking for in this game is, can the Rams get a ground game going? They had Cam Akers out for injury almost all of last year. He came back into the near end of the season, going to the playoffs. So how will he do in a full season this year running the football? Can he bring some of that Florida State running this year for the Rams, because they will need it to help take pressure off of Matthew Stafford. They were able to get by without it a good majority of last season. Darrell Henderson stepped in pretty well and for him and played that role, but can they get some consistent game on the ground, running the football, just taking pressure off of the quarterback so he's not having to drop back every single play, and I think that would really help the offense and the defense as well. Kills time off the clock, that defense gets the rest, and they're more energized, and when they go back on the field, so they're ready to go, right, and create those short field opportunities for the offense, so those are the things you have to look out for, and I believe this game is going to be a good test for both teams, just to see where they're at, both coaching staffs, just to see, hey, are the Rams, looking forward to seeing how they can repeat their success from 2021. There hasn't been a back-to-back Super Bowl champion since the 2003 and 2004 New England Patriots. That's been almost 17 years ago. So can the Rams be the first team to do it in that time span? I don't know. Honestly, I believe that repeating in any sport, repeating as champions is extremely hard. It's very hard. The Warriors did it a couple times in the NBA, but it's hard. It's a hard thing to do, and if you ask Steph Curry and those guys, they'll tell you that's something that's very hard to do, but it can be done, and the Rams believe they can do it. Of course, Sean McVay said, hey, we're taking it 1 week at a time, one game at a time, which is the right attitude you need. You can't look forward too far into the future, because you have to focus on 1 week at a time, one game at a time, one practice at a time, one day at a time. That's how you have to look at it, And so for the Rams, they're just wanting to they're focused on this week. They're focused on the Bills. They're focused on, SoFi Stadium is going to be loud and it's going to be crazy, and they're going to be cheering behind their fans. The fans cheering behind their players as they take on the Bills, and just to see, can this team, repeat the success that they had the year before, the offensive success, the defensive success, both sides of the ball playing really well. Can they have that again in 2022? I think they can. I believe they can. It'll be, I won't go far as to say Super Bowl right now. It's way too early to see anything like that, but this will be a good game for both teams, both ball clubs, just to see what you have on both sides of the ball, especially special teams as well. Defensively, Buffalo Bills have a lot of guys to keep an eye on. Kyrie Elam being one of them, a rookie cornerback. I expect him to get a lot of playing time, and Gregory Rousseau, can he step up and be that major pass rusher alongside Von Miller on that defensive line, along with Mario Addison? Can they continue to elevate that pass rush to the point where it's close to the Rams level that it was in 2021? So it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out. But you guys can catch that game again on Thursday night, NBC. So again, that kicks off the 2022 season. And of course, all your Sunday slate games will be as follows. You're gonna have the Saints and the Falcons. You're gonna have the, I believe, the Commanders and the Jaguars. So a lot of different good games on Sunday as well, and we'll preview those on during the weekend, going into Sunday's matchup. But our next segment here on the podcast is some duos to watch this season. For me, my duos to watch out for in the NFL are, number one on the list is going to be Devontae Adams and Cooper Kupp with the Las Vegas Raiders. The Las Vegas Raiders have made an immense amount of improvements to their team over the offseason, grabbing Devontae Adams from the Packers, of course, and Chandler Jones and from the Cardinals. So they're wanting to, again, shore up that offense and make it to where it's very lethal next season. If you look at the Las Vegas Raiders, you already had good receiving core at the moment with Hunter Renfrow and those guys, and Demarcus Robinson, who was no longer on the team, but he was there. So it was a solid receiving core. Now you're adding a guy like Devontae Adams, who was arguably the best wide receiver in the NFL, to that mix. So now Derek Carr has a bunch of options to work with, and Carr, who was already, he was a mid quarterback at best. He was, he was already on that a little above average scale, not that he's top 15. I would say he's a top 15 quarterback, not top 10, but not below that, in the middle of the pack. He's the one to take that next step, into those top guys. And he believes he is one of those guys. So I think adding in Devontae Adams along with Cooper Kupp, two great route runners, guys who can catch the ball out the field, off the quarterback's hands, and just being able to, establish great consistency on the field, on offense. That's going to be huge for the Las Vegas Raiders this year. And defensively, Max Crosby and Chandler Jones rushing the passer. That's going to be something to deal with. And offensive coordinators are going to be like killing themselves about what are they going to be able to do to help slow down that pass rush and call plays for their quarterbacks not getting demolished every single time they drop back to pass the ball. So that's something that, Patrick Graham is going to love having on his on his defense. Two guys who can really get after the passer and make life very miserable for opposing quarterbacks. So I won't, I wouldn't count the Raiders out this year. Don't count them out. They made the playoffs last year, lost to the Bengals in the first round, but that team is different this year. And again, the offense is going to be very electric. Josh McDaniels coming over from New England. He's a head coach. You expect to see a lot of that Patriots style type of offense, two running back system. I expect to see a lot of Josh Jacobs and maybe Zeus, from Georgia, running back from Georgia. So, I expect to see a lot of that going on. Two running back system. A lot of the tight ends being used a lot, like they used to do up in New England with the Patriots. So, expect to see some of those wrinkles there in the Las Vegas offense. And when you add a guy like Devontae Adams to that mix, because Josh McDaniels really hasn't had that true number one wide receiver to work with. In his time, calling plays, especially up there with the Patriots, it's just been guys like Edelman and, all those guys who are great receivers, no doubt. But you got a guy like a superstar like Devontae Adams to throw the ball to. Now, this opens the whole playbook up for you and other players to see what you can do. So it'll be very interesting to see how that works with the Las Vegas Raiders. That's my number one duo to watch out for this year. As far as just being able to score so efficiently, that is what is going to be key for them. Sustaining that offense, staying on the field. Can Josh Jacobs maintain the running game for that Las Vegas Raiders offense? And my next set here is going to be a tight end and wide receiver duo. So it's going to be Kyle Pitts and Drake London for the Atlanta Falcons. For me, this duo is going to be huge. You're talking the Twin Towers. Kyle Pitts 6'6", Drake London 6'5". Two guys that can go up and get the football at the point of attack. Great route running, good speed, really great speed for their size and makeup. These are guys that can stretch the field out for any quarterback. Kyle Pitts had over 1,000 receiving yards in his first year in the NFL. In his first year in the NFL, he had over 1,000 receiving yards, which is really good for a rookie tight end. A tight end, I might add, Throw in Drake London, who has had great success at USC. Again, the guy that's only going to develop and get better. And so no matter who's back there throwing the ball for Atlanta, whether it's Desmond Ridder or Marcus Mariota, the Falcons have two offensive weapons at their disposal, along with guys like Patterson in the backfield and Brian Edwards, the former Las Vegas Raider himself. So Marcus Mariota or Desmond Ridder, whoever's going to be starting for the Falcons, is going to have some great options, and add in Arthur Smith being in his second year with the offensive system as head coach, installing that offensive system, adding in some new wrinkles here and there. And, he's got different, pieces to work with two mobile quarterbacks. So it's going to be a little different, and I expect the Falcons to score a lot of points this year. If the offensive line can hold up in pass protection, they're going to do pretty good. So that is my second duo to watch out for this year for the Atlanta Falcons. That's Drake London and Kyle Pitts, wide receiver and tight ends. Two guys who I call the Twin Towers, who are huge, can go up and get the football. Going to be fun to watch for them. And as we move on throughout the year, we're going to have a lot of teams that are trying to get back to the point where they were, just winning football games and trying to get to the playoffs. The Arizona Cardinals being one of them. As we talked many times on this podcast, the Arizona Cardinals have got to get things changed quickly. Because if they don't right the ship, it can be a big blow up, waiting to happen. I mean, you look at, what's going to happen with Coach what's his name? Cliff Kingsbury. What's going to happen with Cliff Kingsbury? This was a guy that's supposed to provide an offensive spark to the offense, and that high-powered air raid system, and it hasn't really tuned out to what he hoped it would be. Kyler Murray is an amazing talent at quarterback, number one draft pick, but he hasn't really panned out to what, the Cardinals will hope he would pan out to, and so Cliff Kingsbury and Kyler Murray, though, this has got to be the year where they take off. This has got to be the year where the Cardinals can finish the season with a winning record, and be consistent throughout the whole year. The defense has got to be able to stay off the field, and just get off the field on third down, rushing the passer, which they are able to do. They've got some great talented players on that defense. Budda Baker, J.J. Watt, Isaiah Simmons. I mean, these are guys that are very talented ball players, who are able to do really, who are able to do a really good job of what they do on the defensive side of the ball, and so it's going to be key for them to help this defense out, because the Cardinals defense has struggled mightily over the last couple of years, and it's been a big reason as to why they haven't had the success that they want to have had, and they got demolished by the Rams in the playoffs last year. And after looking back at that game, it all falls back on, again, play calling, Cliff Kingsbury and Kyler Murray as well, his play, so the Cardinals are looking to shore that up. And the offensive line, you got an aging offensive line as well, and that's something that they didn't really address in the draft or free agency that much. So I'm a little curious as to how the offensive line will hold up in that air raid offense with Cliff Kingsbury up there. So yeah, the Arizona Cardinals are a team that, can they go from where they were before, just into a top contender in the NFC? I don't know. They got the talent to do it, but can they remain consistent? Can they go out there without all the drama going on and, put that out to the side and just focus on football? That's a thing that in the NFL that people forget. These guys are normal dudes. They're humans like me and you, except they're just really talented at what they do, and that's why they're in the NFL making money off of that. And winning championships, right? So, but these are also normal people at the end of the day, and they've got things going on, but they've got to be able to focus on football, because that is their job, that is their profession, that's what they're doing for a living, and the team has got to eliminate distractions. So that's going to be key for all 32 NFL teams this year, but specifically the Arizona Cardinals. And our next point here going on in the podcast is the New York Giants. Can the Giants go from worst to first in year one under Brian DeBall? I don't believe so. Offense is going to look a little bit better though than it has before. I mean, way better than when Joe Judge was over, calling the plays and running a quarterback sneak on like 3rd and 20, and you're inside your own 10-yard line. Not very smart. But you got a new coach and Brian DeBall, new offensive system here. Can Daniel Jones make that leap? Can he get better? Can he stop with the turnovers? Can he improve? And, that's going to be the big question for the Giants, along with, can Saquon Barkley stay healthy? Please, Saquon, we want you to stay healthy. We want you out there, not just for our fantasy team, but we want to see you out there playing ball, running hard, catching the ball at the backfield, doing what we know you can do best. This guy is one of the most talented running backs in the league. That's why he was drafted so high when he was in 2018, and he just hasn't been able to stay healthy. Him and Christian McCaffrey are two running backs that this year is the year for them, because if they do not stay healthy, if they cannot stay healthy this year, if they cannot produce for their offenses, then it's going to, things will change. I expect things to change. I mean, this is a business. This league is a business, and Saquon Barkley this is a huge bounce back year for him, I believe. I think he's going to come back, and I think he's going to have a great season for the New York Giants this year. And I think it's going to be key. The wide receiver position is not pretty, but they got to get better. The Giants have invested a lot of money into that position over the last couple of years, especially with Kenny Galladay on a 4-year, $72 million contract. He hasn't lived up to that at all. Not the same player we've seen that's in Detroit. That was in Detroit before he came to the Giants. So he's got to step up. He's got to be able to catch those balls, and he's got to be able to get better. That's going to be key for the Giants, and they're not going to make a huge leap in the first year, but, it's going to be growing pains, but you're going to see a gradual, improvement, I think, out of everybody, especially the offensive line, which has been a horrible spot for that team. It's been their Achilles heel. Ever since Eli Manning retired, it's been their Achilles heel was that offensive line and holding up in pass protection and creating running holes. And can they finally get that shored up and get that solidified for moving forward in the future? Something to keep an eye on, but overall, I think this is going to be a fun season. Again, you guys can catch us here. Everything you need to know, we're right here on YouTube, Spotify, wherever you get your favorite podcast. Tell your friends, check us out here on Jay's Fifth Down. And you guys can catch the Rams and the Bills kicking off the 2022 season on Thursday Night Football on NBC. It's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of fireworks. The Rams are going to be raising up that championship banner, so y'all don't want to miss it out on it. It's going to be fun, and I'm excited for it. And then you got a whole Sunday full of games, so we're finally back for the NFL. The NFL is finally back, so please, guys, check us out. Follow us. We're also on Instagram, TikTok. We're also there. Check us out. Thank you for watching Jay's Fit Down Football Podcast. I'm your host, Jay Gay, signing off. Wishing everybody a happy Labor Day.